your Monday edition of FreightWaves Now. Today we've got some real exciting stuff for you, talking about what's happening all across the country. But first, let's jump over to Nick Austin with the weather.
Welcome to FreightWaves Weather, your Monday edition. I'm FreightWaves meteorologist Nick Austin. Hope you had a great weekend. You're going to have to prepare for some really nasty weather across parts of the U.S. this week. Now for today, it's not going to be so bad. We don't have any severe thunderstorm outlooks out there right now. It is going to be wet from time to time from portions of the Tennessee Valley all the way up into New England along a cold front. But the risk for flash flooding, the risk for severe storms is really, really low. So that's the good news. Just some kind of messy, wet weather across the eastern United States. But when you look up to the northern Rockies, Montana, northern Wyoming, mostly western and central Montana, down into Wyoming, beginning tomorrow and lasting for a couple days, another really significant and potent early season snowstorm hitting that area once again. So for a lot of the high elevations across western and central Montana down towards West Yellowstone, could see anywhere from 12 to 16 inches of snow. A lot of strong winds will make it nearly impossible for deadheading through this region. And the strong winds could also knock down trees and power lines. There could be a lot of roadblocks, portions of I-15, I-90, I-94 over the 2-day period for this particular snowstorm. So this is going to be a really nasty one over the next couple of days. That's for Tuesday and for Wednesday as well, especially in the high elevations, but even a lot of the lower peaks could see up to maybe 5 to 10 inches of snow and a lot of strong winds as well. That storm will move towards the Dakotas Wednesday night into Thursday. Still not really clear exactly how much snow will fall across parts of South and North Dakota, but there will be accumulating snow possibly lasting through the day on Friday, along with strong winds in those areas as well. So we're going to have to keep a really strong eye on this. A lot of travel problems through that region for most of the week, at least after today. The last stop we're going to take is way out in the Pacific. This is Super Typhoon Hagibis. That's kind of a complicated name there, but it's got strong winds of 150 miles an hour. Just a monster storm right now. It's moving just to the north of the U.S. territories of Guam, the northern Mariana Islands, and it's going to take a slow track, possibly towards a Japan landfall later this week and into the weekend. So the ports of Osaka, Nagoya could take a pretty significant hit from this storm. Just depends on the exact track, which is still several days away from making landfall in Japan. So the track of the storm is probably going to change a bit now from now until the end of the week. But we'll keep an eye on that. Shipping lanes, the Sea of Japan, northern Philippine Sea going to be affected by this, with certainly a lot of delays there. And we'll see exactly just how much impact it may have on these ports in Japan as we head towards the later part of the week. So we'll definitely keep an eye on this typhoon. It could make landfall in Japan still with winds that are Category 3 strength later on this week. That's what you need to know about your weather for your Monday. We hope you have a great day out there and be careful.
Welcome to your Monday Carrier Update, sponsored by Powerfleet. My name is Kyle Cunningham. Today we're going to talk about some new indices inside of our amazing sonar platform. First off, let's jump over to hometown Chattanooga, Tennessee, talking about refrigerated outbound tender volume. Now this is important because previously we saw outbound tender volume and inbound tender volume by market and nationally. Now we can break it down by individual trailer types, important for you. Speaking of refrigerated, in Chattanooga, it is currently at 2.04 for outbound tender reject. That means 98% of all this outbound freight is being readily accepted. So if you have capacity in that market, understand that your leverage is not going to be that high, but there is volume inside of the market. When you're getting loaded, you're looking at 145 minutes at the dock inside of Chattanooga. So keep that in mind. Over 2 hours, make sure you get what you deserve in terms of detention. Moving over to the West Coast, we're going to talk about inbound tender volume, long haul inbound tender volume. And the #1 market for long haul inbound tender volume as of today is Tucson, Arizona out west. You can see once all that freight gets back in there, all that inbound capacity is now leading to an outbound tender reject index of 1.62. So you're talking about 99% of all the freight out of Tucson is being readily accepted. No arguments on that. So if you have capacity headed into Tucson, yet again, understand on a Monday, today, it's not going to be as strong as you think it is. In terms of wait times in Tucson, getting better for you, 32% better at 125 minutes. Pretty standard all across the board. As we move over to the center of the country, country, talking about the refrigerated outbound tender rejects in great old Houston, Texas. I want to talk about what's happening in Houston and what's happening right down the road in Austin. So Houston today, almost 14% on the outbound rejections. If you're in Austin, you're looking at about 8.22. So you got refrigerated capacity in Austin, Dallas, Lubbock, Amarillo. Make sure you take a look at what's going on in Houston, because you're probably going to have a good opportunity. In terms of head haul, still both negative, indicating a lack of outbound options, but that's okay. With the high outbound tender reject index, you're going to be looking all right. Wait times in both these markets under 2 hours, looking real good on a Monday for y'all. Let's close it out. Let's talk about what's going on with the map here. We're looking at a head haul daily index map, and then we're going to look at a head haul 2-week change. So these red markets here on the right-hand side, you're looking at the weekly change. Ontario, California turning down a little bit, center of the country turning down, and yet again, the biggest loser of the week, hometown Chattanooga, Tennessee. That's okay though, because on the daily market, we can see Memphis still looking good, Savannah still looking good, Harrisburg, and then of course out west in California and Salt Lake City. As always, thanks so much for watching your carrier update. We will see you tomorrow.
Hey everyone, welcome to this October 7th Monday edition of the Broker Update. So volumes have dropped off significantly. Now, I think you've heard Kyle talk about this on the carrier update. You know, it's not unusual for this time of year. Behind me, I have the outbound tender volume index for the nation, and you can see clearly here, this is not unusual. You have these drops at the beginning of October. It's the end of quarter, end of month, so make sure that you're not panicking at this time, but we should see some declining volumes. Now, what's shocking is that the tender rejection level, so capacity is still remaining relatively unchanged, a little bit tighter than we would expect. Tender rejections at 5.3% right now. Not quite changed from this time last week. We saw some late month disruption in September. That calmed down quite a bit, but still we're seeing elevated tender rejections. So that means that you guys still should have some opportunities out there on the higher margin side. If we're looking at the map to see where is the biggest chance for improved margins, also where do I need to look to make sure that all my loads are covered today, the Pacific Northwest continues to be one of those hot spot areas. We still have the apples kicking, the potatoes over here in Idaho. All of this is contributing to a lot of tightened capacity up there because they're going to drop a lot of loads to go and cover some of these higher paying produce moves. This continues into this week. Make sure that you cover everything going into the Northwest today. Also, you know, we've got some smaller market activity. Decatur, Alabama market right here, seeing some increased tender rejections week over week. Make sure you're covered there and throughout portions of the Midwest. The weather has been an issue here, so watch out for that. What we're looking for in the Pacific Northwest, though, this is the Seattle and the Pendleton market tender rejection rate. We can see clearly that both of these starting to climb. You know, we started to see this really spike up at the end of the month of September, but now it's starting to come back down in Pendleton, but then bounced right back. Seattle as well. Seattle's a big market, backhaul. Normally you're not looking to cover loads out there, but today you may want to take a second look. That'll do it for today's brokerage update. Be sure to hit subscribe on the YouTube button and follow us on all our social media outlets, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter, and have a great week.